All right, there comes a time in every campaign when the press describes a candidate's spouse as a secret weapon, as if we never had any knowledge that the candidate was married or to whom. This morning, New Day is letting the secret out early. Kelley Paul is the wife of Senator Rand Paul, and she could be the next First Lady.
She also happens to be the author of a new book. It's called True and Constant Friends, Love and Inspiration from Our Grandmothers, Mothers, and Friends. Here to discuss all of that and her husband's place in the 2016 Republican field, Senator Rand Paul's wife. I actually just want to call you Kelley Paul instead of saying Rand Paul's wife, or the wonderful woman behind the candidate, because you're a fabulous lady in your own right. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Michaela.
Congratulations on the book. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but we have to, I don't think I've ever met a secret weapon. What does it feel like to be the secret weapon?
You know, it was obviously very flattering to be called that, but it's a little awkward answering that question, right? I was teasing one of my kids. I said, I just hope I don't see a headline that says secret weapon bombs.
So, you know, when I read about you, when I see your book, I'm like, I know this marriage. I mean, this marriage seems very familiar to me. I mean, he moves to Kentucky because of you. He changes his name from Randy to Rand, essentially, because of you. But at the same time, you know, he goes ahead and runs for president, even though perhaps maybe you're not so into it. It has this incredible give and take that I think a lot of us can identify with.
Yeah, it's, you know, like any marriage, we both support each other 100%, but there's give and take, and it was a process for me to get used to the media spotlight. I mean, we spent 20 years in a small town, and we still live in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it's, you know, a very comfortable life as a small town doctor, and then suddenly being sort of thrust into this media glare was, you know, a bit of a challenge for me 4 years ago.
Well, and I want to ask you about that, because it's not every marriage, as John was alluding to in his own marriage and any relationship, you encounter, right, whether it's an illness or elderly parents or whatever. This is kind of a different thing. A, it's by choice, but B, it really thrusts you into a limelight that is unlike any other, and your family, too.
Right.
What were the discussions leading up to? Was it sort of, let's make a list? How did you guys come to the decision together?
You know, I'm a big list maker, so I actually did attempt that with Rand. I'm like, let's do the pros and cons, and that's not really his personality. So he's like, oh, come on, do we really have to write them down? Don't we know what they are? You know, I wouldn't say there was one moment that, you know, I really came around to the idea. This has obviously been a while coming. The last year we've talked a lot. You know, every time our college sons were home, I would try to make sure that, like, I talked to them one-on-one, Rand talked to them one-on-one.
How do they feel about it all?
You know, they are excited about it. They're really proud of their dad, and I will say I think it's a great example for them in life to really be bold enough to withstand criticism and to put yourself out there for what you believe, and I'm really proud of Rand for that, and I think he does set a good example for our boys.
Let's talk about criticism, because he's, been in the race for all of, 10 days? And already dealing with his share as a candidate right now. I want to play you a couple of the interviews that people are talking about right now.
Oh, I bet I know which ones.
I'm sure you do, but I want to ask you specifically about them. So let's play them. This is your husband talking to CNBC and also the Today Show.
There's two. Let me finish. Hey, let me finish. Hey, Kelley. Hey,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry,
quiet,
go ahead.
Calm down a bit here, Kelley. Why don't you let me explain instead of talking over me, okay? Before we go through a litany of things you say I've changed on, why don't you ask me a question? Have I changed my opinion on? That would be sort of a better way to approach an interview.
Okay.
So you just watched it again here. I'm sure you've seen it before. When you see the shushing right there as we play the video, what do you think?
You know, I see his frustration in trying to, you know, not have his ideas misrepresented, and being eager to get into the conversation. Anytime you see political pundits, they're all trying to jump in, and I think that he was trying to do that. It's not anything about women. I think he would have responded to a man exactly the same way.
But you can see how, as a woman, you can see. In fact, I'm wondering if you would have, if that had not been your husband and had seen that, would you bristle at the fact that he's sort of hushing?
You know, it doesn't bother me that it's a woman. Again, I think that he would have responded to a male journalist in the same way. Now, again, you can make the argument, you need to be smoother, you don't need to be abrupt with people, you're trying to, you know, win over people for your ideas, and I think that's legitimate. But it does bother me that suddenly I'm reading headlines that, you know, does Rand have a problem with women? Because one of the things I tried to point out yesterday that a lot of people might not know about Rand is that his longtime partner in his ophthalmology practice is a female surgeon. They worked together for over 10 years in a two-person practice together and had a great relationship. And if you know anything about medicine, your surgical partner is your key person in your business and professional life, and you have to trust them and respect them. And she's a big supporter of his still. So his entire career has been working with strong women. I'm a strong woman. His family is filled with really incredible role models. I don't know if you read the foreword of my book, but he writes a lot about his grandmother and his mother.
Both of your grandmothers.
I want to
remarkable
talk about that. It's really kind of a beautiful book. I was sharing with you beforehand. I'm the beneficiary of some strong females and a lot of strong women in my family and in my circle. Why did you decide to write this book, and why did you write it now? Do you think maybe it was one of those things that you're thinking, look, I know what's coming ahead, and I'm going to lean on these women in my life?
Well, when you talk about politics and life bringing you some unexpected things, in many ways, politics did bring this to me, because right after Rand was elected, I was asked to give speeches, around this state in Kentucky. And I really wasn't comfortable with political issue speeches. I wanted to write about the person that embodied the American spirit for me. And for me, that was immediately my grandmother. She had a profound influence on me as a young girl. And she had this incredible optimism and work ethic, and she was a larger-than-life personality. And so for me, I had these strong memories. But as I grew older, and my mom started sharing with me just how difficult my grandmother's life was, coming to this country at age 19 with just a little bit of money sewn into her clothes. I mean, she was an Irish immigrant. She was the daughter of an invalid who had been gassed by the Germans in World War I, and her family had no money. She had to quit school at 12 years old to go to work, and her aunt saved enough money to bring her to the United States, and she started working as a live-in maid for the founders of the Saks Fifth Avenue stores.
Wow.
And so her years working as a maid in New York, exposed her to all these wealthy families. So she had incredible style and love of home decor. And she just embodied for me the idea of your outside circumstance doesn't define who you are, and the importance of doing a job and doing it well is important. So when I wrote that speech, people would come up to me afterwards and
how much
they'd
it
say,
resonated with
well,
them.
it's just like you. They wanted to start telling me about their grandmother or someone in their life. And so that's when I got the idea for the book, to really explore who these people are in our lives and who in other people's lives was like Julia.
You talk about your group of friends here, from college that you lean on when times are good and times are tough. What do you expect you will be needing for them, from them in the next several months, say around Iowa?
They're amazing, and they've been there for me for 30-some years. And, we're there for each other in good times and bad. They make me laugh. Sometimes when things aren't going great, I get a funny email or a great phone call or something. They're here to celebrate with me. They're all coming to New York next week. We're doing a big book launch party, and they're all coming in, which is going to be an amazing experience to be together and celebrate the book.
Have you had the conversation with them? Because, I mean, potentially, we're sitting here talking to someone who potentially could be the First Lady of the United States.
They're all thinking Lincoln bedroom, right?
Have you had that conversation, or have they brought it up with you about what that will look like and how that will impact your relationship and your friendships with them?
I don't know if they're thinking that. I'm certainly not. I'm still a little stunned that we've started on this journey, and I consider it a marathon.
You might want to have that conversation with your girls.
We've had some laughs over just the improbability of things and the improbability of life in many ways. This is certainly not something that I ever expected for myself, and I don't think they expected for me.
I don't want to let you go. We asked about, some of the troubles your husband has had in the campaign so far. He's also had some successes, but there is a big, I think, scandal arising right now, a revelation in a CNN interview, and I need some explanation here. He cuts his own hair? He's a senator.
You're a little
This man is a U.S. senator, and he cuts his own hair?
It's terrible. I know. He does. You might have picked up, he's a little bit of an impatient person with things.
Is that what this is about? It's not frugality?
No, it is not frugality. It's just he doesn't really like to make appointments for things. And so, routinely, he has very curly hair, and I'll go in the bathroom, and he's just sort of standing there kind of giving it just sort of a little go
beautiful
around
hair.
He does have nice hair. A lot of people give me grief about his hair, but I think he has great hair.
What about the mock turtlenecks? Do they give you grief about that?
Yeah, people give him...
You've struggled with that a little bit,
It wasn't my favorite look for him, but, you just have to let him be who he is.
Absolutely.
I thought Cuomo was the only guy who cut his own hair. But now...
Look at the face. Oh, my goodness. The face right there.